Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to get MPV working on Ubuntu Gnome with Wayland and proprietary Nvidia graphics drivers. So the first step is actually getting set up for Wayland. So if you have a look at the Wayland page on Arch Wiki, what it mentions is that you actually have to set environmental variables to get Qt applications and things like Mozilla working on the Wayland. So if we come across the environmental variables over here and this section Wayland environment, since Wayland does not initiate any Xorg related files, GDM, Plasma, source system user environmental variables instead. Basically what that means is you can't put these environmental variables in your bash rc or your shush, your shrc config, because they're not going to get picked up. So what you have to do is actually create a file called .config environment.v envars.conf. So if I switch across to Emacs here, what I'll do is come across to that file, so conf environment.d envars, and make that a bit bigger. So what you can see in this file, I've got qt underscore qpa platform equals Wayland and moz enabled equals underscore Wayland equals 1. These are the only two settings that I've actually needed to get set up, and the first one is primarily for applications like OBS Studio, and this is needed so that you can actually use Pipewire to capture the desktop and Windows. At the moment I'm using screen capture, which seems to be working quite well now. So this is the first step. You need to create that file .config environment.d envars.conf with those settings. You reboot and you select Ubuntu on Wayland, and you'll then be running Wayland. Now what we need to do is actually get MPV set up, and there's actually a couple of issues with this, specifically with Nvidia graphics cards, and I'm going to show you how to solve that so that MPV will work on the command line and from any scripts, and also from launching it from a file manager, opening a video from a file manager. So if we come down here, there's a section blank screen, Gnome blank screen Wayland, and there's two issues here. The first is that there's a issue where MPV can not initiate the display from blanking. So if you're watching a video and you've got your display set to blank, after 15 minutes, Gnome can't stop that. MPV can't stop that. So what you have to do is use this Gnome session inhibit line when you're launching MPV in Wayland. But there's another more serious issue with Nvidia graphics cards, and that is that even with that setting, MPV won't open at all. It'll just give you an error message saying cannot access some DMA buffer or something or other. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to fix this so that you can run MPV from the command line, from any scripts, and also by launching it from a file manager. So the first issue is, let me come across here and let me just jump to my notes here. So what we've got is two things. We need to create a mpv.desktop file, which is going to be used by graphical applications, things like XDG Open, to launch MPV when you double click a video in your file manager. So what we need to do first of all is copy the default mpv.desktop file to local share applications, and the location of the desktop file is user share applications mpv.desktop. So all we do, if I zoom this out a bit onto one line, you can see we just run cp user share applications mpv.desktop to local share applications. So that's the first step. We copy the desktop file across. Now what we need to do is we actually need to change the execute line in the desktop config file from this, which will be mpv dash player operation and a sudo GUI. What we need to do is actually change it to this section here, gnome session inhibit mpv, and that will add the gnome session inhibit command before mpv, which should allow mpv to stop the screen blanking. Now the other issue for Nvidia graphics cards, if I come down here, what I need to do actually switch to another version, actually, my bad, hang on. So what I've got is, if I can come to the desktop line here, what I've got here is the line for the Nvidia fix. So what we need to do to get MPV working on Ubuntu with Gnome, Wayland, and the proprietary Nvidia graphics drivers, which at the moment is 515, is we need to change the execute line in the desktop file so that it includes this line: env underscore egl underscore vendor underscore library underscore file names equals user share. You can see here glv nd elg underscore vendor dot d 50 underscore mesa.json. Then we run gnome session inhibit mpv inhibit mpv player operation mode sudo GUI, and this U is the actual thing that's passed in. So this is the fix we need on the desktop file. If you're not using Nvidia graphics card, you can just omit this section here. Yeah, this section here that I've highlighted is specifically to fix the issue with MPV not working at all, not opening at all with proprietary Nvidia graphics card. So all we do is basically put this file in our local share application. So I'll put a link to this under the video. So all you'll need to do is actually download this file and put it in place. You'll be able to double click a video in your file manager and it will open with MPV. So that's the first step. Now the next step is actually getting this to work on the command line. Now your first thought might be, oh, I can just create an alias for MPV and that will work. That would work when you're interactively typing MPV into the terminal, you know, MPV, some video file, that would work. But it would not work if you're using MPV from a script. Okay, so what we need to do is that the usual location of MPV is going to be user bin MPV. What I'm doing is I've created a script here that I put in my home bin directory. Now my what I'm going to do is just shift across to my zshenv file to show you how I set the path. So this is the important bit. So if I come up here, what you see, this is how you set the path in ZSH. You use your zshenv file. What we have here is typeset u path. I think what that section does is make sure that the path doesn't contain duplicate entries, basically. What we then have down here is path equals home bin, home local bin, and then path. And what this does is this sets my home bin directory with my scripts in it to take precedence over scripts installed in user bin. So what that means is I can create a script called MPV in my home bin directory, and when we then run MPV, that script's going to be called instead of the MPV in user bin MPV. So if I come across to the terminal here and type if I type ls user bin MPV, can see that's the usual location. If I type which mpv, what you'll see is it's actually returning the path to mpv in my bin directory. It says what this does is this means that whenever you run mpv on the command line or from a script, it's going to use this script instead of mpv. And what this allows us to do is actually create a script that will check if we're running, if this Nvidia file exists, if we're running Wayland, and if we are running Wayland, use that file. If we're not running Nvidia, it will just use mpv, and then it will fall back to xorg if you're running xorg. So let me take you through the script. So what we've got here is a variable called file, which points to the location of this 50_mesa.json file. This is something to do with the Nvidia graphics setup, and I think I found this fix on a page for Fedora. So what we need to do is we create a variable called file, which is equal to this location. Then what we do is we create another variable called mpv, which is pointing to the original location of mpv and user bin mpv. What we then do is we're going to check if we're running Wayland, and the way we do that is with a variable called xdg_session_type. So if I run this command in the terminal, it will actually print out Wayland. So echo xdg_session_type, and you see it's Wayland. If we were running xorg, that would return xorg. Okay, so we check if we're running Wayland. If we're running Wayland, we then check if this file exists. Okay, if that file exists, we then run this command _egl_vendor_library_file names equals file, which is the path here, mpv, and then this $@ symbol means any files that are passed in, basically. So you can pass in multiple files. If that file doesn't exist, and so we're running mpv without the graphics drivers, we can just run mpv and the file, and then if we're running xorg, we'll just run mpv and the file again. I actually haven't put the inhibit excuse me, I haven't put the gnome session inhibit in here because I've actually got my screen to never blank, because I just prefer it that way. I don't want it to blank, so I haven't put that command in there. So if you're having issues, you could always do that. But that's basically what we need to do. We copy that desktop file into our user local bin, our local share applications directory, and then we set up our shell so that our home bin directory takes precedence over the user bin directory. We then add this script, and then we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you this working. So what I'm going to do is come across and show you a couple of ways of launching this. So what I'm going to do is mpv, hang on, video OBS, let's see, mpv, I'm just going to pick one of these at random, and you'll see it's now playing. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at controlling mpv. Actually, all we need to do is a plugin for mpv. Okay, what you'll see when you're playing this is an error message here. Gnome's Wayland compositor. Sorry, tongue-tied there. Lacks support of idle inhibit protocol. This means the screen may blank during playback. Even if you set the gnome session inhibit command before mpv, you're still going to get this error message come up. in MPV when you launch it from the terminal, and you can just really ignore that. But the issue is without this fix here for Nvidia graphics cards, it won't even open. Okay, so if I just run, let me see if I can get this to work. So if I run user bin mpv video obs mpv empress bang, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is what normally happens. You go to launch the video, you get these two error messages. The first one about the compositor, and the second, error occurred on the display, FD closing. Okay, failed to import supplied dmabufs, arguments are inconsistent. Right, so just running MPV like that, as I've shown you, this is the message you're going to get, and it's really irritating. So this is why we need the fix in both the desktop file and the script. And you can see if I just come back here and I just run MPV, what it's going to be doing is it's launching that script. Hi, in today's video, okay, so that's the fix on the command line, and I'm going to show you that this also works from within scripts as well, because if you were to use an alias, what would happen is it wouldn't use the alias, it would just use the path to MPV. So this is why we need to create a script called MPV that we have in our home bin directory that then will take precedence over MPV in user bin MPV. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you the same thing with the file manager. So let me just come across here and open the file manager. Okay, so what I'm going to do, same deal, video, OBS, Emacs open with, just open another one. I'll double click this. Hi, in today's video I'm going to be showing you it's working, and the reason that's working is because of the mpv.desktop file that we created in our local share applications with the same fix that we had in the script. So you can see this is working fine. Hi, launch from the file manager. What I'm going to do now is actually show you this being launched from with Emacs. So if I just come across here, I'm going to show you this working from within Diode, videos, OBS. Okay. So what I've got here is Diode, which is the file manager for Emacs, and in my Emacs config, which I'll briefly show you, config emacs init.el, and what was it called? Yeah, MPV. Okay, right. What I do is I use a program, whatever in an add-on in Emacs called Open With, and what this allows you to do is associate a file extension to a particular program. So what I've got here is a list of video and audio file extensions that I want opened with MPV. So I'll put a link to this under the video as well. But basically what this allows me to do is when I click one of these file extensions in Diode, it's then going to pass on, it's then going to open the file with MPV. So I'm going to show you that now. And what I also want to mention here is the difference in speed between chmod and xorg and Wayland. When I normally run this on xorg with chmod, there is a noticeable delay between clicking the file in Diode and it actually opening. There's like a half-second delay or something. With Wayland, it's instant. Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to create a video grid with audio using multiple. So you can see that opens instantly. So if I come across into any of these, just come across, bang, instant. Hi, in today's there is a noticeable delay when doing this running xorg with xmonad. So let's say half second, something like that. You click the thing and then it'll open. Hi. Okay, you can see that's instant. And what this is doing is this isn't using the mpv.desktop file. This is using mpv, the script I created. So basically this script here is being called by Emacs when it uses that association between the file extension and the application. So as I've shown you, it's working on the command line, working on desktop file manager. It's working from within Emacs, calling the script. Now what I'm going to show you is the same thing working from within another application on the command line. So what I'm going to do is I've got urxvt open here. So let me just put that full screen. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is run newsboat. And what we've got here is a video, and what I've got that I've shown you in previous videos is a keyboard shortcut that will bring up a menu that will allow me to open this URL with MPV. So I just type my keyboard shortcut video, and what you'll see in a second is this video is going to pop up.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring bad news. Unfortunately, this.
Okay, so that's Adam Pearson on about Newcastle. So if I come across here and let's go into Linux. Okay, this is Brody Robinson killing ad blockers. What I also want to mention is the way that MPV functions on Xorg. There is an option you can use called --screen equals, and then you can specify a screen number, like 0 would be your laptop screen, 1 would be your second display. That doesn't work on Wayland. And I haven't found a way around that, but I've got keyboard shortcuts I'm going to be showing you in another video that make GNOME behave like xmonad and allow us to move windows around using the same keyboard shortcuts as we would in xmonad. So I'll just do the same here, video, and you'll see it's going to kick in a second or two.
Manifest v3 is almost upon us.
Okay, and the other thing that I want to mention is the videos actually launch faster on Wayland than they do on Xorg. So typically when I'm doing this on xmonad and Xorg, this can take 5 or 6 seconds to actually launch the video. The same script and the same setup on Wayland actually works faster for some reason. Don't know why, it just does. So that's getting MPV to work from within Newsboat as well. Now what I'm going to do is actually show you another thing which I showed you in a previous video. Now in a previous video what I showed you was how you can play URLs from the clipboard with MPV by pressing a keyboard shortcut. So Napoleon Wilson. See, I don't autocomplete. Okay. Napoleon Wilson. Come on. Usually comes up. Okay, there we go. My bad for picking a name that doesn't autocomplete. So, okay. In a previous video, I showed you how to play URLs from the clipboard. And what this allows you to do is, instead of normally you'd come across, maybe you'd copy URL, you know, you'd switch to the terminal, you'd type MPV, paste like that, and you do that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted just to be able to copy the URL and play the video. So if I come across here, go copy link, and I press the keyboard shortcut. Give it a couple of seconds, it's going to pop up. Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering, okay, so what I'm going to do is actually show you how I got that to work with the global keyboard shortcuts in GNOME. So let me just minimize this. You're going to minimize? Okay, there you go. Sometimes there's a slight delay with screen capture on Wayland. Seems like sometimes if you don't actually have the window focused, there can be a slight delay. But I tried this a couple of weeks ago and it was basically unusable. But as of late September 2022, window capture has improved so that it's actually usable. So what I'm going to do is opening the settings here. Okay, we've got the settings, and I'm going to come down to keyboard eventually. So yep, right, there we go. And we scroll down here to custom shortcuts, and what you'll see here is I've got 3 custom shortcuts set up: one to launch the Emacs client, one to launch my terminal, and this next one here, which is the script basically. So what I found is that you can set global keyboard shortcuts in GNOME, but it doesn't like you actually trying to put in the command in here sometimes. So what I found is it's actually better to put the command in a script and just run the script. So I've got the name, I got the command here, which I've just called xmpv, which is the script I've got in my bin directory. And we've got the keyboard shortcut, which is Control, Super, and X. So Super is the Windows key. So that's the keyboard shortcut. And if I just come across to Emacs again, I'll just show you that in xmpv, one line. And basically what we're doing here is we're running task spooler, which I've covered in a previous video. And what that allows you to do is create a queue of commands to be executed one after the other. And the reason why we do this is because what this allows us to do is basically go into YouTube, copy the URL, press the keyboard shortcut, and it's going to play the video. And then what we can do is we can continue to do the same thing. We can continue to come across into YouTube, copy the URL, press the keyboard shortcut, and it's going to queue the video up. Basically what this does is it uses task spooler, mpv, and again this mpv is going to be calling the custom mpv script so that it works on GNOME, Wayland, and with the Nvidia graphics drivers. We then run xclip-o, you can see here, and what this does is this prints out the URL from the clipboard, and then we redirect standard output to dev null, because otherwise when you use task spooler and you run a command, it gives it a number like, you know, script 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would get printed out to the terminal, and we don't want that. So that's basically the script, and what it allows us to do is just come across here and copy the link, press the keyboard shortcut. Same deal as on Xorg. Give it a second or two.
Hi,
there we go.
in today's video I'm going to be taking
Violent Monkey. Now the other thing to notice is that suppose you've got 2 displays. By default what happens is when you press the keyboard shortcut, it's going to launch the video on the display you're on. So if you've got 2 displays, you've got your laptop and your main screen, what you do is just you come across and you copy the URL, then you move the cursor across to your second display, press the keyboard shortcut, and it's going to launch MPV on that display. Now, as I said, there is an option in MPV to specify the screen. So you can specify, let's just put this back full screen again. Okay, you can specify mpv-fs, which is going to put the video full screen. Now what I've noticed is if you use this option on Wayland, what happens is it defaults to the main screen. So if you run mpv-fs, what it seems to do is if you run this command on your second display, it actually puts it full screen on your main display, if that makes sense. So the -fs option always seems to launch the video on your laptop screen as opposed to the second screen. And there is an option called --screen equals, which allows you to specify the screen number on Xorg. So screen 0 would be your laptop screen, screen 1 would be your next display. But this doesn't actually work on Wayland. So the FS option always seems to open the video on your main display, and the --screen option doesn't have any effect at all. So there isn't a way, as far as I can see, to run a command on your laptop screen to launch a video and have it automatically displayed on your second monitor like you can on Xorg. But not to worry, there is a solution for this. What I've been doing is actually going through and modifying all the keyboard shortcuts for Gnome so that they are the same as Xmonad, so that all the keyboard shortcuts that I've been using with Xmonad now work with Gnome. I can do exactly the same thing, move windows about. So I'm going to show you that in another video. But basically a recap of this. First of all, Wayland. It uses you have to set environmental variables that will be picked up by system D. And the way you do that again is, if you have a look at the Arch Wiki here, since Wayland does not initiate any Xorg related files, GDM and KDE Plasma source systemd user environmental variables instead. And the way we need to do what we need to do is actually set some environmental variables for things like Firefox. I'm not sure if Firefox has got this enabled by default anymore, but specifically for Qt applications like OBS Studio, what you need to do is create this .config environment.d emvars.conf file. I've already got one created, so I'll put the link for that so you can just download it. But if I switch back to Emacs here, what we did was we created this config environment.d emvars file here with qt underscore qpa underscore platform equals Wayland and mos underscore enable underscore Wayland equals 1. I'm not sure if the second one is still needed with Firefox, but the last time I checked it was. The other thing to notice here is you can see how beautiful this text is looking in Emacs and Wayland. Really nice and sharp there. So that was the file we needed to create. You then reboot and select Ubuntu on Wayland in the login screen. Then what we did was we set up two things. We set up the, let me see here. So what we did was we set up two things. We have the mpv.desktop file, and again I'll put links to these. Let me just make that a bit bigger for you. So my bad, sorry. So what we did in the mpv.desktop file, so we set two things. This first fix here, this is purely for Nvidia graphics drivers, the proprietary version, not the Nouveau. So this is the fix that I showed you. So if I come back across here, remember if I type in user bin mpv video OBS mpv. Okay, so running mpv normally, no dice. Yeah, this error message here about the compositor and error opening on display FD closing, so it won't even work. Yeah. So this is how we get around it. We need to set the env EGL vendor library file names to equal 50 mesa .json. We then run gnome session inhibit, which may not be necessary if you have your display never set to blank. Even if you have your display never set to blank, you're still going to get this error message when you launch MPV from the terminal. Then we have mpv -- player operation mode equals sudo GUI -- u. So that's the fix for the mpv.desktop file. And then what we had was the script for fixing the issue on the command line and when mpv is called from scripts. And again, what we need to do to get this working is we need a bin directory in our home. So as you can see here, bin, and you can see all my scripts in there. And what we did, if I can just come back here, .zshenv, what you need to do is set your path. So again, typeset -u path. So this ensures that you have a unique path and you don't have any duplicates. When we say path equals home bin, home.localbin, and this is for other scripts like Python scripts, would typically be installed in places like .localbin. And then we have path, which is the existing file, the existing path to all the scripts, like user bin, user local bin, that kind of deal. And then we do export path. And again, what this does is this means that when I run which mpv, it's going to return the location of the mpv script in our bin directory instead of mpv in user bin mpv. And this then allows us to, if I come back here, run this script, which will basically fix the issue of mpv not working on the command line and also from within scripts. So again, quick recap. First of all, we create a variable called file and set that equal to the location of this EGL render.d50._mesa.json file, which is used with Nvidia. We then set mpv to be equal to the path to mpv. So we have a default fallback, which is user bin mpv. We check if we're running Wayland by checking the XDG session type variable, which should be equal to Wayland, as I showed you before. If I come across here, switch back and echo XDG session type, you can see Wayland. We then check if that file exists. That file should only exist if we are running Nvidia, I think. I'm pretty sure of that, but just double check. And if it is, what we then do is we then run this thing here. And again, I haven't put in the Gnome session inhibit thing because I've got my display never to blank anyway. So if you want to put it in, that's possible. You can put it in, but we have this. It says file equals file, so EGL vendor library file names file is equal to this location. We then run mpv, which is going to call the custom mpv script and the file passed in. If that file doesn't exist, then we're just going to run mpv. And finally, if we're not running the XDG session type Wayland, that means we're running xorg, and we just fall back to the regular mpv. So this will basically won't interfere if you're switching back between Wayland and xorg. It's not going to fuck up your mpv install because it will check. It's only going to call that code if you're actually running Wayland, and if you're running xorg, it's just going to run mpv normally. So that's the fix, and as you can see, everything works. And this is running Ubuntu 22.04. I've got Wayland, I've got Pipewire set up, which I showed you in a previous video, and I'm running the latest version of the Ubuntu driver. So if I come across here and do Ubuntu, is it drivers devices? I think it is. Yep. And what this will show you is the actual graphics drivers that are in use, and you can see here I'm running a GeForce GTX 1650 mobile. I'm running Ubuntu 2204 and a Dell XPX 15 from, I think it's about 2019 or 2020. It's the one with the HDMI port built in, and basically everything works absolutely fine. So that's the actual setup. So this works with the proprietary Nvidia graphics drivers, version 515, and this will allow you to get MPV working on Wayland, Gnome with the proprietary graphics drivers. And as I showed you, without this fix, MPV won't even launch. It'll just give you this error message. And the two fixes, I mean, the Gnome session inhibit fix isn't really necessary. This is the main fix to actually get it working on Nvidia graphics drivers. And you don't want to set this, you might be thinking, oh well, I could just set this variable in my ZSH or bash RC file or something. But what I found is actually setting this variable globally actually interferes with other stuff. So that's why we specifically needed to add it to the .desktop file and the script, so that it only affects MPV and doesn't affect any other applications. So that's the fix for getting MPV working on Wayland, and hope that helps. I've gone into quite a bit of detail about getting this set up, what the issues are, how to get this working with your file manager on the command line, from within scripts, within things like Newsboat, Emacs, anything like that. So this fix will work across the system, whether launching videos or audio files from your file manager, from command line, or from within a script. So I'm going to put links to all this under the video. Quite easy to get set up. You just create the environmental variables, you set up your ZSH or bash RC file path, create your bin directory, put the script in the bin directory, copy the desktop file across. You're good to go. You don't need to reboot or anything once you've booted into Wayland. Just need to copy those files into place, and then MPV will be working. And the reason why that's really important is because MPV uses YTDLP as the back end, and what this allows you to do is basically play links from hundreds of sites from the internet with MPV instead of using your browser. And typically this will allow you to do useful things like apply filters to the video. You can apply audio filters to increase the audio levels, and also it'll use a lot less CPU than actually playing a video in the browser. But there are a couple of things, as I mentioned, that don't work on MPV on Wayland, and that was basically the --FS option. Always seems to play the video full screen on your main display, and the --screen option doesn't allow you to specify a display to play the video on. So the one annoying thing is that if you launch a video on your laptop display, there isn't a way that I've worked out as yet to get it automatically to display on your main display. You've got to move the window across, but I'll show you keyboard shortcuts that I've set up for that in another video. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and I hope that helps you actually get MPV working on Wayland, whether you're using Nvidia graphics card or not. The issue with the Gnome session inhibit, and I said I've got my display never to set to blank, so I haven't actually tested if the Gnome session inhibit thing actually works, but According to the Arch wiki, that's what you're supposed to do. And there's also a mpv Lua script that's supposed to do the same thing, but I haven't actually used that. But that's what I've come across with getting MPV to work on Wayland with Nvidia proprietary graphics drivers. And again, this is Ubuntu 22.04 running, the latest of everything, the latest graphics cards, 515, using GeForce 1650 driver. And so it took a little while to figure it out, but I think I found the issue. The fix was actually on a Fedora page, and I can't quite remember offhand where that link is. But that's what you need to do to get MPV working. So I'll put links to all this under the video and hope that helps you out.